There are many conversations that are going on at the moment, especially the ones around fear, and probably more silently the ones around anxiety. Both of these things, the most significant part of them is they both don't exist. They're both concepts that we've inflicted upon ourselves. I'd suggest to you that anyone that suffers from anxiety might believe that it's very real, might believe that it's something that's prohibitive, and they may even be taking medications or doing particular practices that are unnatural in order to manage that, to deal with that. But let me just say this to you, that we become set free through our understanding of our own self. When we start to recognize what it is that's happening within us, to us, for us, rather than having someone else's authority, someone else's information determine what it is that's going on within us. For example, fear is nothing more than our inability to be able to action what we want to do moving forward successfully. When we are standing at the edge of the cliff and we are looking to jump off that cliff, if we've done it before, and we've done it many times before, we don't have fear because we understand how we can do that successfully. But when we are standing there for the first time, we are all going to experience fear. The nature of what we suggest is fear is being demonized as a thing that people now use as an excuse to not move forward, as a conversation that they continue to have with themselves, but also with others. We need to get past the conversations and start to move into actions, because fear itself is simply just not understanding how to take action. Now, as an individual, we're able to do whatever it is, whatever we choose, whatever we please at any particular moment. But we're only restricted by the things that we think might happen. We've got no evidence to say that anything will go wrong. We've got no evidence to say that anything will go right. What we have is generally a disposition on what we don't understand, and the very nature of our life to grow, to move forward, to expand, because no one gets up in the morning, as I've been told by a great teacher previously, that no one awakes in the morning hoping to be less. No one wakes up in the morning hoping that what they have at this particular point is less than, worse than what they had the day before. No matter who we are, no matter how dire our situation, we're all looking to expand and evolve. And to grow requires us to go into a place that we have not been before, which is the very nature and the definition of what we've created around fear. So we've created this conversation where we are not moving forward into our own life, where we are choosing to buy into this idea because it's accepted by many that we have this thing called fear. And fear has become a relevant and accepted excuse as to not move forward. I was fearful. You were not fearful, we just did not take the time to understand how I could move forward and navigate this successfully my way. Now, anxiety is simply an upwelling of energy that exists in people, that exists from either not expressing, not releasing, and not letting go of what it is that's within us that does not belong. Anxiety also is experienced in many different ways when people have an amount of energy that is brought to them as they start to move forward in life. Like anything that we do, as we start to grow, as we start to expand, we are brought forward in the complete and organized workings of our own being. When we make a decision, we receive energy in order to move forward, in order to propel us into a place that we have not been previously. The anxiety that people feel is the reluctance and the resistance to that energy that's been brought forward to us. It's like anything that is potentially able to take action. If it is not action, it becomes frustrated. It becomes heightened and it becomes derelict in what it's doing because it just needs to move forward. And when we contain this within us, we feel discomfort. Because we've made a choice that even though the opportunity is there, even though the doors are open, even though the path ahead of us is clear, we have chosen to create some sort of idea in our head that it's not going to work, that it won't happen for me. And based upon my beliefs, I am only going to create a problem moving forward. We suggest that we become more evident, more obvious. We become more certain of our failure than the possibility of what we can create. And you see, the very nature and the opposing of this is inspiration. And that's when we look at someone and we observe someone moving through the very thing that we haven't been able to do. We look to the example of others to allow us to elevate, to allow us to grow. You see, fear is nothing more than a concept. It's not actually anything that's going to happen or has happened. It's what we think might happen based upon misinformation and based upon our inability to be able to discern a truth inside ourselves to learn to believe in what we are. You see, that the very epidemic that exists, not just now, but in any moment of life, is the crisis that sits around the lack of self-belief. For us to believe in ourselves, we first have to understand ourselves. We not have to understand who we are. We need to get beyond this concept of who we are. The who exists in relation to every other who. It is the comparison that we seek. It is where anxiety comes from when we look to Instagram or Facebook and start to see people manipulating their own life and story to project this ideal image of life as if everything is perfect. And ignorantly, people are influenced to think that, why aren't I like that? How come I don't look that way? How come I don't have that life, that wealth, and whatever it is that may be being projected upon them? The thing is, if we don't have the capacity to discern that within our own selves, we become influenced easily by others. And it's time for us to find within our own self, our own inspiration, what it is that works for us. We must understand what we are. We've got to get past the who. The what exists in relation to nothing else. It is independent. To be able to have the courage, to be able to have the certainty, to be able to advise yourself to guide into those darkened areas, those darkened corners of your life where you have not looked before. And when I say darkness, I don't mean anything that's evil or demonic. I mean simply a place where you have not placed your attention previously, where you've not chosen to understand. When we can start to understand what we are, the very nature of our own being, what we are as independent of everything that exists around us. And I mean this without compromise. I don't mean, well, inclusive of my son and my daughter and inclusive of my partner and then all the other things that come close into that. I mean, who am I is irrelevant when it comes to what am I. We must first understand the what so we can become an authentic who. The very nature of fear is simply about getting past the conversation that you continue to keep having with yourself about what you think might happen before you take action. It's to recognize that the only two things that we can be doing at any particular time is either thinking or acting. And if we're not acting and taking action and expressing ourselves, thinking is simply the default place that we go to when we avoid our own movement forward. I hope that's assisted you, and until we meet again on the inside, enjoy you.